You know what?
What?
I'm Brent Leary.
You know, it's interesting. Whenever I see you in person, I kind of need reaffirmation of that.
Are you going to poke me in the arm again like you did the last time? There it is.
You are real.
But who are you?
Well, that's why I need reaffirmation. I keep thinking I'm Brent Leary, but I'm actually Paul Greenberg.
Well, if that's true,
okay,
and I am who I am, that means it's the CRM Playaz, folks.
Again, for the this is what, the 12,453rd episode.
Give or take
CRM
several thousand, but yeah, in the right ballpark. We're back. It was only what, 2-3 weeks we were in Vegas.
Yeah, 2 weeks. One of the conference was great.
Yeah,
but it was Vegas, so of course one of the worst moments of my life again.
Yeah, but it was cool because they actually gave us a little spot on the exhibition floor.
Oh no, it was cool. Again, the conference was great. Just as
well, I was traumatized heavily because I didn't know at the time that I actually hugged a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
And so I think I fully recovered from that. And we are glad to be with you live from Santa Cruz. This might be the first time I've actually been to Santa Cruz.
Interestingly enough, I think I've literally been here, but I can't place when.
Like Chaminade.
Like the Chaminade. This is years ago. At first I thought, well, it was this place I was with Esteban. And then I thought, no, it was this place where we met. We did that Siemens thing in Floyd Little, but that wasn't here either.
That was nowhere near.
Yeah, no, I can't remember.
I forget where that was. That was in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just time for me to retire, pretty much.
No, but we are glad to be here for SugarCRM Analyst Summit.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, it's really cool to be here, but being a Rams fan, kind of near the home stadium of the Niners, I've been getting a lot of side eyes.
Well, you know what it is. It's excess.
But even from the studio audience.
That's all right. We have muting up for these things. So no, well, you know why you're feeling it?
Right.
There's an excess amount of radiation coming from the stadium.
Oh,
it's the same as when you travel 80,000 miles in the air or more. Apparently you get too much radiation for every mile after that. So that's just a warning to all the people out here who are listening in.
I tell you what, I learn something new every time we do this show. I had never heard that one.
I never heard of it. So Ray, of course, Ray Wang, for those who don't know, is an analyst. He's the founder of Constellation Research. So he travels like 600,000 miles a year. So I walked up to Ray one day, and just out of the blue, I walked up to him and said, I can't associate with you anymore. And he said, why not? I said, because you're a walking dirty bomb, right?
And on that note, we are really glad to be at the SugarCRM Analyst event. Yeah, this is cool. It's the first time in years that we got a chance to get together physically with some of the folks at Sugar and some of our colleagues and also some of the Sugar customers. And we're actually going to be speaking to a Sugar customer. And I think the guy that has the coolest Twitter handle in the industry. We'll just let that marinate before we bring it
Okay. Out. And I think, by the way, since we have multiple folks coming on, we may have to put each of them before they've gone on in a cone of silence because they're not going to they can't listen to the question that we have to ask.
I don't know. I'm kind of apprehensive of asking the second guest because he's been out here a long time. Does he have any ties to like any other parts of the geographical area?
Probably not really. Not when it comes to what we need to talk to him about.
Okay, we might be good to go then.
But we're going to now have to see with our first guest, which is
absolutely
Courtney Eaton. And Courtney, who is the president of logistics, which is a really fascinating title by itself, and is for Funds2Org and for Sneakers for Fun. Courtney, why don't you come on in and we're going to get started with you because I just met you today and I am fascinated by what you're doing and we want to discuss it.
Jump on in here. And
all right,
make sure we get you mic'd up. And then while you're getting you mic'd up, our buddy
just
Donnie Weinstein says Chaminade is a great venue. Been years since I was there. It is really nice.
Well, yeah. While we were actually getting ready, one thing I do want to do a shout out to Sugar for. I mean the event itself, the organization of the event, the way it's working, the smoothness of it all, the convenience, the thinking that went behind it.
The food last night at the reception.
the food last
I'm
night,
just
the
saying, it was
reception.
good.
Well, I mean, then you're pointing out one flaw to me.
What was that? Oh, the
I didn't
blueberry
s-
bagel thing?
Yeah, there were really terrible little bagels with that we were trying to crush blueberries onto, right, to see if we could make a blueberry bagel out of it, but didn't. Even Marshall Lager couldn't eat that, right? So that's a whole other story for another day. So welcome, Courtney.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So let's just start from the beginning, since I know you just presented to all the analysts and other customers for Sugar and the Sugar staff. To tell the audience out here and the audience in the future who will be watching a little bit about what you do and the company.
Yes, so Funds to Orgs is a shoe drive fundraising company that works in all of the United States, the contiguous United States, doing shoe drive fundraisers by collecting gently worn, used, and new shoes. And so we pay the partners a percentage, for each pound of shoes that are collected. And then what we do is with the shoes, we ship them to micro enterprises across the globe. So we work in 24 different countries. We're a social enterprise that keeps shoes out of landfills. We support micro entrepreneurs across the world and also help our missions at home here do what they need to do, whether it's a school or a civic group or a church that's looking to raise money for their various projects.
So I actually, that leads to two questions, totally disconnected. But first one is, what are some of the types of micro enterprises that you're actually shipping to? I mean, how do you determine, okay, you get these shoes?
So we have customers that work out of all these different countries, and we ship shoes based on the need. So we provide inventory to those people because, for example, like in Haiti, where there is no government sustenance, these folks have to sell something. They have to do something in order to make a living because there is no governmental support. So we're actually their inventory. So we ship shoes when they need it. Like right now, we're not shipping to Haiti because of the turmoil with the gangs and the assassination of the president right now. So we're kind of like on hold and holding pattern to actually ship to Haiti.
So, all right, so now, well, actually, that brings up another question for that. How do they find you?
Actually, through LinkedIn.
Really?
LinkedIn and the internet. We have several websites that point to our shoe drive fundraisers, but we have a lot of partnerships with various corporations in the U.S. that actually deal in secondhand goods. And so through them, we're able to find customers who are looking to sell shoes in their country.
Wow. How did you get involved in this kind of work?
My husband, who's the founder and CEO of our company, has been in the shoe industry his whole life. He's been president of various shoe companies and has created many shoes, been to China and all that kind of stuff where they are made. But he created a charity years ago called Souls for Souls, and which
what a great name.
He actually had retired from and stepped back from because it was a lot of pressure in the nonprofit space. But he was still getting calls after he resigned that people in these micro entrepreneur countries were still looking for product. We couldn't get enough product. And we also have a marketing company that we thought we could help nonprofits be better in the space by helping them do their marketing, creating websites for them, helping them with their social media. Well, these nonprofits, they have no money. So Wayne thought, well, it'd be great if we could help them raise money. And how better to do that is through shoe drive fundraisers, because what nonprofits need the most is funding.
Yep.
And this is a great way for them to get funding without actually asking for you to write a check, a check. So now we can ask you, can I have your shoes? And so it creates a simple model of, you don't have to write a check, open your checkbook right now, just give me your gently worn, used, and new shoes.
So I love that model. I'm not going to go into it now, but many years ago, I had a very similar thought, which was just that I was doing some fundraising actually, and people were saying, well, I don't have any available cash. And I was taking that as money, right? I mean, they had nothing liquid to give me, but then all of a sudden I realized, no, they're literally talking about something they can literally hand me right now that is actual, they can write a check. And I realized, well, I started asking about things they had that could be liquidated, right? And that changed the game. And you're doing that from the get-go as a company.
Right, yes.
All right, so here's the other question though. How do you determine a sneaker or shoe is gently worn?
Well, our process is we have a sales funnel and then we have a coaching team. So our sales folks sell the fundraiser to people based on what their bandwidth is. So we have different types of models, and most of which is everybody usually does the mini shoe drive, which is collecting 2,500 pounds of gently worn used and new shoes, which is 100 bags. And we have coaches then that connect with you on a weekly basis, and they teach you how to get the shoes. They teach you where to go, how to do it, how to look at the collection. We have materials and we have documents that go out to these folks. We have various emails that go out to them during their campaign to educate them on what a gently worn used and new shoe is.
So you literally like have it like grades of shoes?
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Talk about the logistical challenges. Since you are the president of logistics,
Yes.
how is that over the last, since the pandemic, how has that even gotten more complex?
So there's two different aspects of logistics in our company. It's number one, it's picking up the shoes from that shoe drive fundraiser in X, Y, and Z city state. And we have a separate logistics company that does do that. I have 4 drivers that drive around the United States in box trucks. And what they do is they pick up those shoes. And we have 16 various points across the United States where we combine all those pickups into shipping containers. And then from there, they go directly out to our micro enterprise, whether it's Guatemala, Ukraine, Haiti, or what have you.
Wow.
Sometimes we do bring that product back into Orlando, but most of the time we do ship directly to our customer. But that's during the pandemic. You have to think that all of the port closures across the globe really, okay, so now where do we send our shoes? Well, our CEO had to pivot and figure out, okay, what can we do? So what he did is he opened up our local market. We have a lot of Haitians that live in Orlando, and they still needed product. So what we did is we sold direct right out of the back of our warehouse in Orlando to the local Haitians. And they get together as families and groups, and they package the shoes and they ship together to Haiti. And so we were able to pivot our entire business into, we're still collecting shoes and our customers are still getting paid for the shoes that they collect, but now we have a different distribution channel. And so that is how we pivoted. And we only were not in the office 1 month. And because of the way that we use SugarCRM, we were able to all work from home and contact all of our customers, just checking in. How are you doing? Is there anything we can do to help you get through this pandemic?
So actually that segues beautifully into the next question. Thank you. You made it so much easier for us. So how do you use Sugar?
Well, our sales team, like I said, we use Sugar, the leads module, of course. And then upon conversion, it then gets teed over to our compliance team, who then we have a shoe drive agreement that this is what we're going to do, and this is what we want you guys to do, which is quality collection. And then from there, once we get the agreement returned, it's then teed over to our coaching team. And so then our coaching team then has a series of touches that they do every week or bi-weekly in some cases, to help them set up a great campaign, because what we want them to do is to be successful. Because if they're successful, then we're successful, and our micro enterprise partners are then also successful. Then on the top of that, we get to keep out millions of pounds of shoes out of our landfills every year. And so we utilize Sugar in a lot of different ways. So coaching.
Did you just say we eat a lot of sugar in a lot of different ways?
No, we
She
utilize.
I actually thought that was kind of a cool way to
Well,
put it.
actually, our office does love sugar in general.
We're
love
trademarking
donuts,
it.
yeah.
We're trademarking that, by the way, just to let you know. So, all right. So with your Sugar, do you customize much, or?
Yes. So I'm also the CTO, IT person.
You wear a lot of hats.
I do. I do. And so I was able to actually use Sugar from the very beginning. We utilized the community edition initially. And because I could customize it, I could have the code on my own server. And that was what was attractive most to me, was being able to create something specific to our business. So right out of the gate, I created what we call the SDA module, which is our shoe drive agreement module. And since then, we have built on top of that all the components, which is tracking the bags and how many bags do they have, how many was picked up, and then this is how we gauge how our coaches are doing. So there's a different way that we track how sales is doing based on conversions, right? But we need to see how our coaches are performing. Are they actually coaching our drives to success? And so by that is their metric, their KPI every week is, where are we and how well are we doing and what state is doing well. And so we're able to really see how that works because it resets every week.
Wow.
And so they have new goals
Wow.
every week. And we can take that data and compare it to the way what we did last year in comparison to what we did this year and really have all the data.
That's a pretty complex way of using sugar, though.
We have a lot of complexities in sugar, but our users don't know how complex it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole
Always
point,
the
right?
best
You want to
story.
make it
Yeah.
easy because these guys, they want to sell, they want to coach, they want to do their job, they want to focus on the customer and our partners and their success.
Yeah.
You know what? That's absolutely it. You know, it's ultimately, you know how companies all want to be transparent. Well, actually, the technology needs to be completely opaque when it comes to the customer. They shouldn't even be seeing it, right? So, other than what they have to do with it. So, all right. So, one penultimate question before the ultimate
Well, I
question.
got one too.
Oh, okay.
Other than that.
Two.
Okay.
Oh,
No, you
okay.
go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'll come to mine.
So we've since we've gotten back on the road, so to speak, because for 2 years we were just stuck in our individual houses doing these virtual shows. But as we're starting to get back out and go to conferences and be able to speak to, folks like you, not only just the vendors, but the actual customers, the thing that kind of came up in a number of our conversations, I want to kind of pose it to you, is the relationship between a company and the vendor seems to have gotten much closer and tighter knit over the years. So instead of just looking at a vendor for, they get me the lowest price or they got some great features, it feels like in a number of the conversations that we've had, it goes deeper than that. It's they align with our culture. They see our vision. We looked at them more as a partner, not just a vendor. Do you have that kind of feeling in the relationship you have with Sugar?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And I do because I feel and I do keep track of their acquisitions and seeing them grow. If I know they're growing, then I know that I'm going to be poised to have our system grow for the better use of our company and our future, to do more things, to make it easier for our sales teams, to get rid of that shipping spreadsheet that we have, whatever their whether or not it fits into what we're doing as a sales team or into our company. That's not necessarily the big thing. The big thing is, are they growing? Are they going to be here next year and on down the road? And making that investment into a CRM system, you need to know, are these people going to still be here next year, no matter whether there's a pandemic or not?
Amen there. All right, so this is the penultimate question before Brent asks the ultimate question.
Okay.
So in a year, how many pairs of and pounds of shoes do you actually deal with?
We pick up about 1 million pounds a month.
A month? Holy, how many pairs does that translate to usually?
1 million pairs.
1 million pairs, so
Right,
pairs a pound?
Right. So typically, on average, 1 pair equals 1 pound.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, that's something I
Good to
didn't know.
I didn't either.
Right.
I can shed a pound by taking these off right now.
Pretty much.
Good. Kicking them off. No.
Yes, and
Wow.
we have our customers are prepaid, so we have no inventory. We have people and customers that are waiting for shipments. We have Ukraine coming back online, and so they're prepaid, and they're probably not going to get their shipment for a month or two.
Okay. Wow, that's the volume's enormous.
We do an enormous amount of.
I've never heard of anything that
It's pretty spectacular,
Yeah.
actually.
Really
makes your
is.
job very busy. as
Yes, very much
President of
so.
logistics and married to a CEO. There's always that dynamic must be fascinating. I won't get into it though.
You should come visit.
Right.
We're in Orlando. Come visit.
Come
Wow. All right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I guess it's-
I will actually.
So we're at the ultimate now.
Yes, we are.
All right.
This is it.
This has been a really good conversation. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. This
Me
is really
too.
good stuff.
Kick my
But
shoes off.
depending on how you answer this next question, I may never speak to you again.
And I ditto that.
All right.
Not to put any pressure on you. Just,
No pressure.
It is what it is.
Okay.
All right. So, do you have a favorite NFL team?
Yes, I do.
Okay. This is the big one.
Okay. So, who would that team be?
It's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You're safe.
You're safe.
You're-
Congratulations.
Although they did beat my Rams in the my very first Super Bowl experience, I still have some scars. But
That's not the
it's
answer. but
not
we-
the wrong answer.
And we
so-
can't say what the right answer is because there's other guests.
Oh, that's right.
So you'll have to
That's
hang around if
right.
you want to
Hang
hear
around.
the
I gotta
one
hang
answer
around.
that would have
But we are
finished
Right.
you.
so
Yes.
happy that you are not a fan of that team. that we would love to have you back.
Yes,
at
we
some
will.
point.
All right, great.
It was a pleasure.
Great. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely, and
All
good
right.
luck with everything, with the weather. So.
Thank
Let me
you.
step out of the way so that I don't choke you with my mic.
That would be a bad ending to
Yes.
a great episode. Apparently.
All right.
All
So
right.
Brent, you want to bring in this guy?
This guy, as I said before, is I mean, beyond being a great guy, an industry pioneer, and a co-founder of Sugar, his Twitter handle is the best. Sugar Clint, as in Sugar Clint Oram. Did you ever box, by the way? Because it can be Sugar Ray Litter, Sugar. As you come on over and join us. But welcome, Sugar Clint Oram.
Thank you.
I feel like you should have a boxing manager walking in.
Well,
and telling
I'm
you
willing
down.
to take the job, but I got to get my shoes off first. I need to lose a pound.
I can guarantee that there will be a very short-lived boxing.
Oh yeah, let's get you mic'd up there.
Sure.
That's the goal, is just to watch people beat up on me. But there you go.
Good pay per view. Anyway, so first of all, it's just good to see you in
You're
person.
not kidding.
It's been
Love you.
years.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
it
then-
has been years.
yeah, and having this event
This
is really
this
good.
is really cool.
Absolutely.
Being next to both of you.
We're right with you.
So, what's happened the last 2 years? No, I'm just kidding.
So, right, how's your life been?
No, well, you know what I want to ask you first?
Yeah.
And I kind of alluded to this before we got started recording, but so maybe over the last couple of months, I've had an opportunity to speak to John Ferrara. He's co-founder of Goldmine. Now he's at Nimble.
Mhm.
Evan Goldberg, co-founder or maybe founder of NetSuite.
Mhm.
Folks that have been in the game, as I like to say, for years, decades. They've done great things. They have made lots of money. They're very successful, but yet and still, after talking with them, it's obvious that their passion for this stuff is still here. When did you co-found Sugar?
2004.
So we're talking, we're going on 19 years. We're 18 going on 19.
So my son was born in 2002. My company was born in 2004. My daughter was born in 2005. So
you talk about them all in the
Triplets.
same way.
They're all
kinda do.
siblings.
Sugar's like my third kid. You bet.
So that kind of alludes to why you're still doing this.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about it. Give us a little bit more.
I think everybody goes through those times where you think about, what am I doing? Am I in the right place? Am I doing the right things? And I keep coming back to, if I were to ever do anything else, what would it be? It would be this. So I love it. And for me, it's all about the people, right? My colleagues every day, working with them, the customers that are here, the partners, the analysts. This is just fun. I can't imagine anything more enjoyable than being able to spend time with great people, helping. Hearing the story that we just heard from Courtney. What a
That
cool
is an
story.
amazing
That was a cool
story.
story.
I mean, I didn't know the things that she talked about today. 1 million pounds of shoes a month
A month.
going to 25 different developing countries around the world, helping people in a way that it's incredible, right? We have United Nations as a customer, and part of how they're doing grants to developing countries is through Sugar. We've got customers across the board. They're just doing really neat things with their business, and then Sugar's helping to power their growth. And I love it. I absolutely love it, and that's why I'm here. Yeah,
That's awesome.
All right, so go back to 2004 though, because I mean we've
World
seen
was a little different.
right. Well, but think about like the first time it came to you that it should be a Sugar CRM.
Right.
What was it?
Well,
When did it
I
happen?
vividly remember. In fact, it's a little nauseating. I can walk you through almost every day of 2004. So
Wow.
it was January 19th, 2004,
What time?
noon. John Roberts and I went to lunch. We were working together at Epiphany. I was the product line manager of the customer service product line for Epiphany, which is a CRM company at the time. He was the sales product line product manager. We sat next to each other in the building. We went out to lunch at a Thai restaurant, and we started talking about
I am so
What?
tempted to ask you what you ate.
He'll know.
a curry. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's yellow curry. That's my favorite. That's why I don't actually remember, but I'm pretty sure. It's yellow curry. And we started talking about what we wanted to do, where we're going, and he threw out the idea. Have you ever thought about open source CRM? And I just sat there thinking to myself, that is a huge idea. That's a game changer idea. And I remember walking back to the office, and I was about a step behind him, looked at the back of his head, and I thought to myself, I'm going to do this.
Damn.
We quit our jobs March 31st.
Wow.
Started the SugarCRM open source project on SourceForge April 1st.
Really?
Wow.
Released our first code mid-May. Raised $2 million in venture funding in June. Released the 1.0 version of Sugar July 4th, 2004. Why July 4th? Well, it was supposed to be July 3rd. We didn't finish the code until July 4th, and we're doing a
The
family
country's been
barbecue.
celebrating it ever since.
There you go. I have personally, and then all of our wives said, "You need to put down the keyboard and come out for the barbecue." And so we hit ship it, and
Wow.
and then we. Let's see, August, we hired our first employees. We moved into our offices.
Tara.
And exactly, Tara Spalding was first employee.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
we'll call her number one employee too. And then we started selling an advanced version of Sugar on top of our open source edition in October. And in October, November, December, we did $250,000 in revenue.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was
Amazing.
2004. And like I said, I can walk you through almost every day of the year.
I think you just did.
I think I
did. So-
If I can pick a random day, would you know what you're doing?
But I want to fast forward
Yeah.
because once again, we had a chance to, have a reception last night
Mhm.
and just, chat and things. And we were talking about what we're going to do with the players here and setting up equipment. And you said, I really like this kind of stuff. And then during your keynote today, you talked about the part of the podcasting that you're doing.
Yeah.
And you seem to really like to do that. Why do you like that? And also you do a lot of your discussions. I know you have codes, but you talk to a lot of your customers. You
Yeah.
say that you learn new things from just doing the podcast
Yeah.
experience. Can you talk
Yeah.
about both of those kind of things?
So 1985,
Wow. He
What
has a
day-
year for everything.
freshman year in high school.
Okay.
Okay.
And
September.
I joined the radio club at my high school.
Wow.
We
Wow.
had the second largest high school radio station in California, KYDS 91.5 FM. Thanks to having you here today. We're going to play the best hits for you. And that was me. I started off
Top
on the
40
air.
DJ.
Yeah, I was a DJ. We actually, there's a lot of funny stories, and I won't digress. But
There's no
I was-
digressions on this
okay,
show.
so
The show is all digressions.
All right, so
We've
we had the
eliminated the category.
first rap radio show in all of Sacramento, and John ran the show. His on-air name was Count Mixula. Okay.
Oh.
And he had a doctor's appointment one afternoon. It was on every day from 4 to 5. He had a doctor's appointment, needed somebody to cover, so he had me cover. Exactly.
What was your favorite hip hop artist back in 1985? I just thought.
Oh, this is Run DMC.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
absolutely.
Okay,
I mean,
we're
you
good.
look back at the
History
time.
of.
And he came up with my rap radio name.
Which is
Pathetic. It's Too Cool Clint. That's
okay.
cool with a K and Clint with a K. And,
Oh,
and it lasted for a day.
too bad Sugar Clint wasn't around back then.
There you go.
That would have
So-
been.
That would have handled.
So I was reading an announcement of a show that was happening on that Friday night, and of course I'm reading it line word for word, and pronounced it as "pumping the bass."
Pumping. Oh, pumping
you.
the bass.
Yeah.
Oh my
'Cause
God.
That's who.
Thank you.
It should have been not too cool, Clint. Right? Yeah.
Well, first of all, let us thank
Right.
Rebecca Wetterman and Liz Miller for the tasty treats they
Bringing
just
us some
dropped off.
food.
Thank you so
Nice.
much.
Thank
Two of
you.
the best analysts in the world.
Absolutely.
So that's where I
And-
got started in radio, and have always enjoyed it ever since. So podcast was just kind of a natural thing to do.
I got to tell you, I started in radio the exact same year,
Did you?
and
Nice.
and I started the first. I was in college. I started the first hip hop show in Wilmington, Delaware, because Wilmington, Delaware is such a hotbed of.
Right. I mean, he was too cool,
That's where
Brent.
the-
Yeah, I was not too cool.
Brent with a K.
Still.
With a K.
Anyway, let's move on and talk about things that are going on today.
Yeah, so the podcast that we're doing now is called the Fuel Growth Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, where we're everywhere. And the whole purpose of the podcast is to dig into how do you build sustaining revenue growth in your company.
Okay.
And we first launched the podcast. I had the thought that we were going to really just unlock CRM and how CRM technology was going to change the sales and marketing and service, the whole front office. And you know, being a CRM tech guy, to me, the insights that we would get would be very, very CRM centric. So we line up CEOs, CROs, CMOs, chief customer officers, and we're interviewing all these folks week after week after week this year. And we keep asking them the question, what's the key to growth for your company? And the number one answer that comes out every single time is it starts with the people. Starts with the
Did
culture.
anyone ever answer something else?
They do. They all have their own twist afterwards. Product-led growth has come out. Marketing-led growth has come out. Sales-led growth has come out. But everybody starts with, you have to have a growth culture.
So,
yeah.
Did that surprise you that that's what everybody had a consensus on?
In retrospect, you know, starting my own company and working to build it up over the last 18 years, it's dead obvious. But I thought we were going to just jump right into the technology answer immediately. And we got there inevitably with many of the guests, but everybody wants to talk about the fact that if you don't have a team that's aligned to growth, if you don't have people who can embrace change, because growth is change, right? If you don't have a team that can embrace change, then you're not going to be able to achieve those growth results. And that was, like I said, it was obvious in retrospect, but at the first few interviews, like, God, they keep answering the same thing over and over.
But do you think if you asked that question when you first got started in 2004, you would have gotten the answers that you got today?
I think it's a timeless answer. I think I probably would have, to be quite frank. I think if you anybody who's spent time building an organization, whether it's a company or it's a nonprofit or even it's building a department, a team within whatever company you're working for, you know that to go achieve the goals that you want to achieve, it's all about the people. You got to have the right team, right? And people, process, and technology all work together to accomplish goals. So technology is certainly a key factor, but I think it's been. I think it's truly a timeless answer.
Well, you actually, in the earliest stage, you actually were very good at externalizing just that, and that was SugarForge. Because I remember there were 30,000 developers out there who were working with you to help build that product, and we're happy to do it. I used to talk to those guys, and I always said, well, I would say to them literally things like, well, does it bother you that you're just kind of doing this and you're not employed by Sugar, you're not getting gigantic benefits other than use of the product, but you're not getting gigantic benefits from it? They said, no, we love this. And they did. I mean, that was like, I'm not saying that to be nice. I mean, that was the answer I would get all the time, is they love the idea of having a community of people who was helping a company build something that they were recognized for. I mean, you recognized them, and occasionally
I think that's a key part of there. I read this fantastic book once called The Commonwealth of Self-Interest. One of the most groundbreaking books I've ever read.
Yeah,
I'm teasing you with it.
Yeah, I started it, but I couldn't finish it.
but I think the term self-interest is very important. People are motivated by a variety of reasons, and altruism is certainly fits in there. But in the end, it all feeds back into how it helps me and how it helps my career goals or my organizational goals. And so building a community of developers, open source developers, really, in the end, everybody was stroking the self-interest piece a little bit.
Well, you guys, I would say, and again, I'm not saying this, I'm not exaggerating, you guys drove that kind of community during that era forward, right? And the other thing with SugarForge, which was always interesting about your developers, was just that I guess the best way to put it was they were always in communication, and you guys were always responsive. And when I say, I'm sure there were moments where you weren't and they weren't, but the reality is that's really, that constant back and forth kept kept things moving in a way I'd never seen before. I mean, there came a point where that was no longer, not this community, but the open source.
Well, we have it today with Sugar Club.
Right.
So Sugar Club is our community named today around helping our customers and our end users and the developers around us get all the same answers and build that community spirit that we had with Sugar Forge, just a different name, different technology 10, 15 years ago. Now it's Sugar Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a quick comment. It felt like we actually had a live studio audience for the Analyst in the room today, because they had us all up front, and it felt like we had some audience, like a customer group and executives kind of watching. Kind of fun. I've never saw that before.
Really, really, really well done event so far.
I just appreciate the insights and the questions that you guys, as a collective group, always bring to the table. We learn so much more about ourselves when we hear how our brand projection to the marketplace is being received, and then you can reflect it back to us and help us make sure that we're articulating the vision and the dream in a way that people respond to. And that's one thing I've always just appreciated about just you two specifically, but all of the analysts that are here today.
One question:
you're not short on opinions.
Well, no, but one question because over the years, Sugar's been synonymous with open source. Has it finally gotten to the point where we're in 2022 that people don't automatically equate you with open source?
I think that's probably the case. So come back to the growth topic, right? And change. What's the one constant in life? Change.
Yeah.
Death, taxes, and change, whatever you want to call it. Well, if you're a sales guy, it's death, taxes, forecasts, and change. But the point in there is change is that one constant that's always there. And for us as a company, we started off as a open source company that happened to do CRM.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And as we grew beyond that first kind of technology launch that got us out of the gates and got us to those first milestones of $10 million in revenue, first 1,000 customers, things like that, we ended up finding that our customers, while they appreciated the concept of open source, what they really wanted is a CRM partner, right? So we had to be an open source. We had to shift from being an open source company that happened to do CRM to be a CRM company that happened to do open source.
Right.
And in today's world of the cloud, open source powers the cloud. Open source is not the topic that it was 15 years
something
ago.
Everybody did.
And cloud is now the topic.
Yep.
And so now we are just a CRM company. Right, and we are focusing, and I want to reword that. It's not just. It's what we are. It's who we, what we live, eat, and breathe every day. And we help customers and companies around the world deliver growth for their own organization, to their own investors, to their own people, and that's exciting. And that's really the space I've really always put my personal energy into, is solving hard customer relationship management problems. The technology shifts over time.
Yep.
There's a point in time when it was open source. There's a point in time when, frankly, it was all about mobile.
Yep.
There's a point in time where it was all about social. There's a point in time where it was all about cloud. And today it's frankly all about AI.
Who acquired a company with mobile CRM? John Carini was the CEO, I think. I remember years ago.
Yeah, iEnterprises.
iEnterprises,
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right, I remember that.
So technology shifts happen, and you can't, frankly, be stuck in the past.
Right.
You have to focus on the future.
Right.
Well, and one thing you've had, which is almost timeless, I'll call it, is your platform. It's always been so flexible. It's been, I think
that's what you heard in the other room. Today,
well, I've been
customer after customer saying,
I've been hearing that for
platform.
years, to be honest. The reality is, I think it was version 7. What version is this one?
We're on 12.
Okay, so it was 7 then. So version 7 was the first time where it just sort of became, that was the point where it became a true platform that was completely flexible. I remember you would talk about, at the time, you could have, I can't even remember the term you used for it, but basically down to the object level, reusable down to the object level. And it was like profoundly different than any other platform at the time. And it's never wavered from that flexibility since.
It's hard to deliver a flexible platform that is stable and scalable. It takes a lot of effort. It takes years and years of development, and If I were to think about, what's the moat around us, it's the 18 years of product that we've been building that is incredibly scalable,
Yep.
incredibly flexible.
Always.
That really is focused on solving those hard problems in marketing, sales, and service. That's ultimately delivering on that vision of letting the platform do the work. That's something that we spent 18 years building,
Wow.
and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We've got a great team building it.
So one last question.
Yes.
Is this the
Before
ultimate question?
no,
No, this
one
is the
last before
penultimate
the-
question.
Yeah, that.
This is the penultimate
It's that.
question.
The pin thing.
That's right.
I had to go look up penultimate. To be honest.
Yeah, me too.
What is he talking about?
Second to last.
So what do you want us to walk away knowing about Sugar, the analysts and the customers that have been here? What is like the one or two key things that you want us to leave with?
I think the one that really resonates in my mind is we're delivering growth to our customers and we're driving growth for our own business. That this is a time of embracing that growth, and it's a really fun time for us as a company. It's a really fun time for our customers. There's lots of things happening. Our engineering team is building just some fantastic new aspects of Sugar. So we're releasing a whole new user interface coming ahead of us. That's really very cool.
Yeah.
And we're also growing through acquisitions. That's a fun part of it. That's where I'm spending a lot of my personal time. So growth is probably that key term that comes back to my mind.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Clint.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah. I almost want to ask another question because you mentioned in the session the micro acquisitions, but you didn't set us up to talk about. Now it's time to kind of go big. Is there something you want to tell us now?
Oh no, I gotta put that cliffhanger out there.
Ah,
Come
right?
on.
That's not a
Come
cliffhanger. It's
on.
a Clint hanger.
Come
apparently.
on.
So
I gotta tease
Look.
it out there a little.
We'll have everyone in the audience sign an NDA so you can tell us. All the people who watch it in the
Yeah.
future will
Wanna
have to
break
sign an
news,
NDA.
you know? Anyway, all right.
All right.
On
Trust
to
me, trust me. You guys will be the first to know.
Ah,
We're ready to go.
okay.
We'll
We're counting on it.
I'm probably making our CMO Claire a little annoyed at the moment as I'm promising you the breaking news, but I'm promising you the breaking news.
All right.
Oh,
At least you'll be the first ones that I tell. Let me tell you.
okay.
Okay.
Well, that's fair.
That's fair.
We'll take that.
We'll
Okay.
Definitely
that.
take
It's
that.
on recorded too, so we'll
There we go.
That's right.
let you
Hold
know.
me to it.
All right, so it's been a great conversation as always.
Yep.
We always enjoy being with you and hanging
Yeah.
out with the Sugar folks
You
and the
bet.
customers. But if you answer this next question a certain way, I'll never speak to you again.
Yeah.
So,
Now, I think
Yeah.
given that we've spoken to you many, many times, that
yeah.
we probably know the
How
answer
do I-
already, but I
Yeah,
don't remember. I don't either.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
let's.
we know you have a favorite football team, but what is it? Who is it?
My favorite football team.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that right there? LA Rams, whatever.
No.
All right, let me bring
Uh-oh.
it out here.
All right.
Let's see. This
Oh,
is.
he's bright
I am
props.
a.
Ooh.
Let me get to the right place on my phone.
Look
at all the apps
He's
on
looking
his
at
phone.
No, this is
19,000.
These are
Pictures?
all my. I'm a season ticket holder to
Oh, that's
the
well.
San Francisco 49ers, and this is October 3rd, a few weeks ago, Monday Night Football,
Yeah.
when the Niners beat the Rams soundly.
You are kind of borderlining it into a
Really
new
beat them
category.
soundly. And then
You know
a few
what's
weeks
sad,
later,
Brent? He's
the
kind of
Niners went
borderlining
down
into a new answer.
and
Yeah.
went to
That might
SoFi
be.
Stadium and beat the Rams again.
See, now this
So,
is
just
interesting.
to be clear, where I
Clint,
stand on this.
Once
Yeah.
again,
Go Niners!
Yeah,
okay.
you
So once again, you're a
stand on my
pioneer.
face, apparently.
You're a pioneer because you're actually coming
You
up with
know?
an answer, unexpected answer
Yeah.
for banning you.
Yeah, this is
Right?
like
We've
the
never
last.
had a second answer before.
I absolutely hate the Patriots. Do I get
Oh,
that?
that's a saving
Well, you
grace.
Is that a
said,
saving
yeah,
grace?
Heck
I
yeah.
absolutely-
You got
there's
it.
a team
Yeah.
I hate
All right,
the most.
you're
All
safe.
right, we're
It's
good
the
You are
because
safe.
you were starting to really get on the.
I like
you
to
know.
beat up on the Rams just because it's easy and it's fun, but the Patriots.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't push your luck too much here. Right, we're starting to
all
push
I can say is we are still the reigning champs, and
Yes,
you
you
know,
are.
So
You are the.
I'm
defending
holding
champ.
on to that until
I'm
February of
enjoying a
2023.
renaissance of a Giants season, so we'll see what
All
happens.
right, so you survived. We will kind of be glad to speak to you again.
We may be glad to speak, but we need some space.
But it's a pleasure always getting a chance to talk. I want to check
Yeah.
out the podcast more
Yes.
because it sounds like
Yeah.
Fuel Growth, the Fuel
Okay.
Growth podcast. Check it out on your favorite
podcast channel.
All right. Well, we better let you get back to your event. You
Yeah,
do have this.
and we have
got work
one
to
other
do.
critical discussion to have, sir. So let
All
me.
right.
I have
Let's
to
get out of the way.
Yeah,
here.
I have to move away without.
And take your hate for the Rams off camera. So we can.
We'll see you
Move on.
shortly. All right. So
All right. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
Except for that last uncomfortable minute, but it's been really.
we have one final. This is like where we get to geek out with somebody who is a senior. In fact, he's the chief product officer at Sugar.
And he helped us out last weekend.
Yeah. Well, what were we looking at that time?
Was it? It was a couple weekends ago. We were going to do our first CRM Playaz town hall. We were going to try it out on the LinkedIn audio platform. LinkedIn audio is brand new. We thought, oh, this would be cool. We're going to give this a shot. Then we had the sneaking idea we better test this out before we just
Thank God you did.
open it up to the masses. So on a weekend, it was like a Sunday or Saturday, I can't remember what day, we decided to give it a test. So we launched the broadcast. And who was like the first person that had no idea we were doing this? They just got the notification. It's our next guest.
Why don't we bring? We'll give the first name away, but we're going to let him talk about himself a minute before we get into what we really want to talk about, which is to geek out. Zach, come on. Okay.
He has a second name too.
I know.
So
Well, I know.
I like Space Lee.
I wanted
You
him to say it,
related
though.
to Space Lee.
Right. I definitely wanted him to say it.
I was
I
tormented.
wanted to go there.
I was
Can't believe you
tormented
did.
as a kid by Dieter from Sprockets on.
Oh my God. I just really wanted to go there, but I couldn't bring
I'm
myself
sorry.
to do
I
it.
couldn't
I
help
couldn't bring
it.
myself to do it. That's why I was kind of avoiding saying it.
We thought you would be a perfect guest to end our show live from Analyst Summit here, because you are apparently as big a geek as we are when it comes to this stuff.
100%. 100%.
So, okay, so let's just start with the classic geek question. What do you got?
What do I got? All right, so I got the big boy version of your
Hey, look! Don't be trying to.
I got
bid.
the-
I've got the big one at home too.
Me too.
Look, just saying, this is the travel version.
This is a geek out guy,
Yeah,
just
all right.
so you know.
Like at the start of the pandemic, I realized we needed to find different ways to connect with people. And I'm just a story person at heart, right? I love telling stories. I love capturing stories. CRM is just stories at scale, right? You're gathering customer information. It's stories at scale.
Another one thing you guys need to be trademarking that one now.
Stories at
Stories at scale. Come on, guys, get going.
So when we stopped having the ability to interact with everybody in person, it was
Story.
Oh, yeah. See, you're doing so well. You talked the mic right off.
The mic was so excited.
Yeah,
He
jumped right off his
off
lapel
it.
there.
That's right. I dropped the mic earlier too.
So look, when we started the pandemic, I realized really quickly, like, how was I going to connect? How was I going to be able to capture those stories? And I've always had background in photography, background in video. I love editing. I love all of that stuff.
Nice.
So I went out and I acquired one piece of gear. I think
What was the first thing you bought?
The very first piece of gear that I bought was a Sony A6400.
Nice. I got one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I
too.
realized I needed a little bit better audio, so I got the SM7B.
You're
and-
going
and
right
then I
down that
realized-
rabbit hole.
I realized like I need a place to plug that in, right? So I
Yeah.
got the Focusrite controller, and then I had to expand to multiple camera setup, and pretty soon my wife realized that we were running a TV studio out of the guest bedroom.
Yep. That's where I run mine.
Just a ballpark. You know how much money you've invested in this?
Oh, I'm not allowed to say that at all.
That's right.
I won't be able to go home if I get that number.
Oh my God. So your wife doesn't even know.
I mean, she suspects.
So did this
Where do you-
start really your kind of passion for this start with the pandemic, or did you have something going on beforehand?
Well, I've always loved editing video.
You like editing
I-
video?
You're the
I love
only.
it.
Well, congratulations,
My
the
God.
one person in the
You
world.
are.
I 100% love it. I love being able to just maximize the impact of a story, right? That's such a huge thing. And I mean, that's part of what led me to this industry in the
Yeah.
first place.
What's been the most surprising aspect of getting into this that you've run into?
I mean, I didn't really anticipate the effect that it was going to have on the conversations that I was able to have with customers during the pandemic. I didn't really anticipate how much people would notice the effort that you put
Yeah.
into doing something like this. But it really does help with your ability to connect, right? And ultimately, that's what we're all trying to do.
Well, one of the things that we talk about a lot is that there's two ways to look at the audio video. The big question is, or not the big question, the big statement is always, you can't ignore the audio and video, given that we're in a hybrid world and given that's going to be at least some way that you communicate with others. But there's two ways to look at how you invest in. One is to keep it from being a distraction, meaning it froze, it dropped, etc. Or the second way, which is more expensive, which is how do you make it part of the experience itself? And that's obviously what we're trying to do, successful or failure.
So how does all this kind of change your perspective around, creating content or creating conversations for your customers?
I mean, we live in a multimedia world, right? And everybody has their own different learning styles. There are people who are very visual. There are other people who require, extensive documentation. And I think the piece that is the most important is just recognizing that all of those different learning styles exist and trying to connect with people where they're at. And, that's a really important part of what we do at Sugar, is trying to connect with people where they're at, surfacing the information they need and the tools that they're already in.
Yeah.
When you're looking at your customer base and you're let's say at home and you're working through your Sony FX3, which I want to bring up.
You got a Sony
I
FX3?
do have a Sony FX3. That was my most recent purchase.
Yeah, that's mine too. Literally like 2 days ago.
Yeah, fantastic camera.
So, but when you're looking at your customer, do you find that any of your customers have figured out that they should invest too? Or most of them are still, because most of the time when we're dealing with customers of a company or even some of our own guests, it's like, let's say the audio and video setups are not particularly helpful.
It's a mixed bag. I mean, there's definitely some people who have figured it out. I think you see a lot more people, on platforms like LinkedIn, going and doing video blogs and doing video updates, especially in the sales cycle. I know our team at Sugar leverages those platforms pretty heavily, and it's a really great sort of democratic process, right? All you have to do is build interesting content, and people will find you.
So you guys going to create a channel or a network?
I feel like I'd like to just crash your network every once in a while.
Well, that you can do.
Yeah,
That's,
you guys are
What
doing
do you think you're doing right now?
Right, we're the open source network.
Right.
The open
wow.
source. We're going to open source.
Well, thanks for taking a few minutes to stop by and geek out with us. We know you got a conference to get back into.
So do we, actually.
appreciate it. Oh, but he is on the show, so we do have to ask him the one.
Yes, we
one
do.
question. Do you have a favorite NFL team?
I do.
What team would that be?
I happen to be a fan of the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles.
That's an answer we've never had on this show.
That's right. You are the first fan of the Eagles.
Oh my God! Really?
Second one I've ever
Yeah.
met.
So
First
grew up
one
in
I've
Canada.
ever talked to.
No local allegiance, right? You kind of get to look, you kind of get to pick. I liked Randall Cunningham, and so
I like Randall.
Yeah.
too.
Who didn't?
Just be glad you never really went to a game at the old vet, because I got scars that Anyway, hey man, it's been a pleasure. Let us know what other stuff you buy, because we are definitely
Yes,
interested.
we will be talking to you.
absolutely happy to
We'll be comparing.
happy to share notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy
Share
the rest
notes.
of the
We'll
conference.
share broadcasts.
Yeah, that.
Sounds great.
All right, man. Take care.
All right.
We'll take the mic off you.
Perfect.
So,
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank
It
you
was,
again.
of course, a pleasure, as always.
Always a pleasure.
I will, well, actually, you know what? I can grab a hug.
Great to see you guys.
all right.
All right.
I always, get nervous when you hug people with the mic
I
on.
know. No, I there was one point which you didn't notice. The mic dropped. You will notice it when you listen, but the mic dropped off. It literally fell off me, and I just very casually and put it back on. So it's not all that noticeable visually, but it will definitely be noticeable.
You know what?
Auditory.
I'm going to, one of
You
these
don't
times when we do the show, I'm going to turn this around so you can't watch yourself.
Well, no, I wasn't watching myself then. I am now, but I wasn't then. I was watching. My neck is killing me at the moment. I literally kept it on the person in the middle.
All right, we got to wrap up
Yes, we do.
because we got to get back in there too.
Yes,
Right?
and I'm actually starving. But go ahead. Let's
I've
do it,
loved
man.
this. It's only been like a little over 24 hours. I've enjoyed every minute of it so far.
Amen.
Yeah.
I again, if I'm picking the best put together event of this year,
Look at me or the camera, man.
well, I'm actually looking at you, right? Well, no, actually, I looked at one of the key people in the event, Sarita over here. Sarita Kincaid,
Yeah,
right?
she's the one the mastermind of this whole event.
It's the best. I would say it's the best organized and best so far, best event I've been to.
I'll say for sure it's the best bandwidth we've
But
gotten
that's
at a
that
conference.
is by a long
Long
shot.
shot.
All right.
Your question is the Seahawks.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, we kind of already knew.
Don't worry,
that.
we can. Hey, Brent, cut it out in post.
All right, well, we better cut out
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
So I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM players, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Yep, and unfortunately, are we going to leave with or without Minnie?
Oh,
Without.
Minnie's on vacation.
All right.
We'll catch her next week. See you, folks.